Hello and good morning. Yesterday, I had a couple of conversations and I even started to experience some challenges myself. There's a time when we are a place where we want to be. There's a space in between where we are and where we want to be. And a lot of times, I think just because of the way we are conditioned as a society, everything is rush, 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 do. We tend to want to race from A to B. We want to get to the place that we want to go as quick as possible. But sometimes the journey isn't that swift. Sometimes we have to make a layover, or we have to take more time in the going. And I think that as people who are trained to produce, we can really learn to despise the in-between places. And that could be an in-between in relationships, an in-between in your career, an in-between in travel. How often do we come across traffic or a detour that actually keeps us from arriving at our destination at the time that we really wanted to get there? A great friend of mine told me this in 2020, and I will never forget it. She said, detours are how our path stays divine and intact. Detours are how our path stays divine and intact. It was so profound to me when she said it, because it helped me begin to think about the times where maybe I was running late, or maybe I was held up from being able to complete something in the time frame that I wanted to. Or, great example, I was kept from going to Milan in 2020 when I wrote my book and I was going to be sharing it over there. I was so very upset about that. It was a huge detour that I did not plan for. And the thing about that was that I didn't know when I would be able to go back. It seemed like it was a missed opportunity. So I'm saying all these things for us to begin to recognize and identify a sacred in-between, the in-between space. And how can we begin to see that where we are is not at point A? We are not stuck, and that we are just hopping from A to B. There is a sacred path. There is a sacred in-between from A to B. And far, far too often when we feel that we're moving, that we're doing the things that should get us closer to B, we are looking at the fact that we're not at B and assuming that we're still at A. I hope you're following here, because there is a path that we are walking. As long as you are drawing breath, you are learning lessons, you are having experiences to help your soul grow. There are so many lessons that we get to learn on this journey. And so I think it's really about us reframing our lives and our paths as divine and sacred. And so wherever we are on that path, whether we are just starting or we are somewhere close or maybe even far away from our chosen destination, that we know that the path that we're walking is sacred. So one of the things that is coming to mind in this, and again, this is something that we all experience. I don't even think that this is just a novice thing, like somebody who's just getting started. We can all feel stuck in a place. And I think that when we feel stuck, that is the first sign for us to begin to do a deep dive. First and foremost, if you are in a sacred in-between, if you feel like you have stalled out, if you feel like you've been detoured, if you feel like you're stuck in traffic, this message is for you. This message is for you. And if you don't feel it right now, man, go for it. Be excited. But if you ever get to a place where you're feeling those things, I want you to come back and I want you to remember that your in-between is sacred. So the first thing we are going to do when we begin to feel that feeling of stuckness, we feel immobilized, it's time for us to enter into a purposeful practice of gratitude. Gratitude is so important because gratitude allows us to stop looking at what isn't and start looking at what is. There are so many things that we can be grateful for. And when we are in the in-between and we're feeling stuck, we are not seeing all of the amazing things that have taken place for us. I just found this stone. I think it's lapis lazuli, or it might be plastic. Who the hell knows? But I feel like that was spirit telling me, woo, keep going, girl. This could be a sign of gratitude. Gratitude. What is happening for you? You know, that helps us to raise our awareness out of this victim mindset about where we are. Things don't happen for me. I'm stuck. I don't have the resources. I don't have what I need. I'm not being seen. Those are all a mindset of victim mindset. It is not an attitude of gratitude. And I know that that sounds corny and it rhymes, but it's so important. Gratitude is actually the key. Gratitude is the key. And here's the thing. It's not gratitude so that I can get what I want. I'm saying gratitude is the key, and the key is the key. It's not about, okay, so what door does this open now that I've showed up with gratitude? No, it's the key to you seeing your situation. It's a key to you moving from that frequency of things are happening to me. Remember, there's 4 levels of spiritual awareness. Things are happening to me, things are happening for me, things are happening by me, things are happening as me. So these are the levels of consciousness, which is victim consciousness, manifestor consciousness, channel consciousness, and oneness consciousness. When we move out of victim consciousness because of the gratitude that we have, we now see the possibilities that something is happening for me. Something is happening for me in this space. I remember being at a job and I was ready to leave. I was ready to leave. I felt like my gifts were being misused and I was just ready. I was not being awarded for the work that I was doing that was above and beyond. And it was like I couldn't find something else. I couldn't get them to give me a raise. And I remember saying, Spirit got me this job. Spirit put me here for a purpose. And maybe there's still something here for me to learn. There's still something here for me to grow into. And the moment that I begin to look for the things that I was there for, that Spirit was giving me as lessons to learn, I was like, let me learn them so I can get up out of here. So I begin to look instead at what was I here to learn? What was the gift for me? What did I need to take to the next step? And I began with gratitude. I began with I'm grateful for this position. It has taught me so much. What have I learned so far? And I began to really review the lessons that I learned being there. And as I did, I think that the lesson that I was still there to learn was that of gratitude, that of knowing my worth, that of being able to see how this position was divinely provided for me. In fact, before, when I got this job, I interviewed for it. I thought it was an amazing interview. It was an amazing interview. I was so excited. And I went home. 3 days later, I got an email that said that they had given the position to someone else. And I was like, are you kidding me? Good morning. I was like, are you kidding me? What happened? That was an amazing interview. How did they give it to somebody else? And so, I said, okay, well, that wasn't for me. There is something for me. And it was only a couple days later that I received a phone call from HR saying, they would like to offer me the job now. HR really wanted me for the position, but they had someone who had more years in that type of position, and they offered it to her, and for some reason unknown, she didn't take it. And so the position was mine if I wanted it. Going back to see how I was taken out of a position even before that and given something, it was given away, and then it was like, no, this is yours. So I knew that there was something there for me to learn, and I had learned so much. Even though I felt like I was ready to go, that I was needed to go to a point B, Spirit still had lessons for me to learn there in the sacred in between. I thought I had already become. I thought I was ready to move on. And Spirit said, no, there's just one more thing. I want you to see, I want you to learn, and I want you to feel the gratitude. I want you to move into different awareness, a different level of consciousness around this. I shared about the sacred in between on social media, and one of the comments said that they see it as a hallway. And oh man, with that perspective, that you're just stuck in the hallway, I could see and understand the frustration and the anger and why can't I just get into this room that I'm trying to get into? Kind of sent me images of beating on the walls and being frustrated. How many times do we spend the sacred in between in frustration? We're collaborating with frustration, which is not gratitude. And, I even had this awareness what the hallway is still a place of support. It still has walls that you can decorate. It still has a floor that you can walk on. It's not like you're in the attic walking on beams. It's still climate supported, the hallway. I had this awareness that, often we see this hallway, the in-between, as something that we despise, but yet it is still a gift. And so that first step of gratitude is so important to us navigating our way to where our heart and our soul desires for us to go. I also think that sometimes when we're in the sacred in between and we're not seeing it as sacred, we think that this is something that we don't deserve, that we're in the space that we're in right now because we're not good enough to be at B, that somehow our best isn't enough for us to get to B. And we begin to tear down ourselves. We begin to think that we're just too much and we want too much. And I'm here to say that anything that your soul is truly calling you to is never too much. It is exactly what your soul came to hold, came to experience. And if we trust the driver, if we trust our soul, we know that there is a lesson for us to learn here. Now, I'm not saying that we're gonna get everything that we want in this life. I think that that's an immature way of seeing this sacred incarnation. We did not come here to get all the things that we wanted. We came here to learn lessons. So when we recognize that we came to learn lessons and we came to be of service, to have impact in the world, that is a mature way of seeing our incarnation. I do not want to demonize or vilify anybody who has come and feels like, I just want all the things. I deserve all the things. I'm not saying you don't deserve all the things. I'm saying that the desires of your heart are a part of your divine lesson. They are a part of you expanding your soul. and learning the lessons that your soul came to learn. Because here's the truth. Once you leave this physical body, you can't take those things with you. All the things that you accumulated stay right here. But the expansion that your soul gains, it is eternal. It is divine. And so that is what spirituality is really about. Spirituality is like understanding that this life is about much more than what we see. It is about much more than what we are able to manifest. That's why manifestation is another level of consciousness. It's not the highest one. The next level is channel consciousness. And channel consciousness is about what comes through you, what spirit can do through you and your presence here. So yes, you can manifest things in this reality, but what comes through you, the energy that you anchor in this place, that sustains, that lasts longer than a car or a house or even a relationship. That soul expansion that allows you now to be a conduit of the goodness, of the balance that is seeking to unfold in this reality. That is also a part of why you came. It is a greater portion of your incarnation.